Moses had been a shepherd for 40 years, long enough to forget he had once been a prince of Egypt. Day after day, he guided his flock across the wilderness of Midian, beneath endless skies. The years had weathered him, turned his beard grey. But on this day, something caught his eye. Far ahead on the slopes of Mount Horeb, a bush burned with brilliant fire, yet the branches remained untouched, unconsumed by the flames. "What is this?" he whispered. He turned aside to look, and in that turning, his life changed forever. The flames danced unnaturally, with no smoke, no destruction, only pure and holy light. Moses stood before the flames, transfixed by their impossible beauty. Then a voice spoke from the fire, deep and commanding. "Moses, Moses," he trembled from head to foot. "Here I am," he whispered. "Do not come closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Moses fell to his knees, fingers fumbling with the leather straps, his hands shaking. The fire pulsed brighter, as if breathing with life. "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses covered his face with trembling hands, unable to look upon the divine presence. The ground hummed with sacred power. The voice commanded him to free the Israelites from Egypt. Moses recoiled in fear. "Who am I to stand before Pharaoh?" he protested. "I am nobody." God spoke again, patient yet firm. "I will be with you." But Moses shook his head, desperate. "What if they don't believe me? What if they ask who sent me and demand proof?" Then God said, "Throw down your staff." Moses obeyed. The staff struck the ground and writhed, transforming into a living serpent. Moses jumped back in shock, eyes wide with terror and wonder. "But I cannot speak well," he pleaded with anguish. "My words stumble and fall. Send someone else, anyone else but me." God's voice grew firm with divine authority. "Your brother Aaron will go with you. He will speak for you. But you, Moses, are the one I have called." Moses knelt in the sand, sandals in one hand, staff in the other, and finally he nodded. The fire began to fade, its light withdrawing like a held breath released. Moses stood slowly and turned toward Egypt. Behind him, the mountain glowed softly in the darkness. The fire consumed nothing, and neither would this calling consume him. It would transform him. He walked into the night, no longer the man who had turned aside to see a burning bush, but the man God had chosen to set his people free. Aaron walked beside him, an older brother with steady eyes and a voice Moses had once envied. The shepherd who ran from Egypt was returning to face it. They walked through endless desert, sand and stone and scorching sun, until the horizon changed. Egypt rose before them. Massive stone structures reached toward heaven. Workers bent under impossible burdens, the crack of whips, the clink of chains, the groaning of slaves who had forgotten what freedom meant. 400 years of suffering stretched across the land like a wound that would not heal. But heaven had finally answered. The time had come. Moses and Aaron entered Pharaoh's throne room together. It was a place designed to crush the will of those who entered. Gold covered every surface, pillars rose like giants, and Pharaoh himself sat elevated high above all others, looking down upon the world as if it belonged to him. Moses stepped forward, staff in hand, and spoke the words God had given him. The God of Israel says, "Let my people go." Silence hung in the air like a blade. Then laughter erupted from the court. Pharaoh leaned forward, his voice dripping with contempt. "Who is your God that I should obey him?" Moses stood firm. His answer was simple, direct, final. "No." Again and again, Moses spoke the words of God. The Nile turned to blood, crimson and stinking. Frogs covered the land like a living carpet. Then came flies, then disease, then boils that festered on Egyptian skin. Darkness swallowed the sun for 3 days, a darkness so thick it could be felt. Hail fell like divine fury, destroying crops and killing livestock. Again and again, Pharaoh hardened his heart. Families trembled indoors as judgment fell outside. Egypt, once proud, lay broken and devastated. Still, Pharaoh refused to let them go. Until the final plague came, until the night of death itself. Pharaoh sat alone in his throne room, broken and defeated, his son taken by the final plague. The pride that had held him was shattered. He spoke, his voice hollow, "Go, take your people and go." That night, thousands walked out by torchlight, families, children, the elderly, animals, all moving together through the darkness. 400 years of slavery ended in a single night. Moses walked at the front, staff in hand, leading them toward freedom. The slaves walked out, but not as slaves anymore. They walked out as the people of God. Egypt lay silent behind them. Ahead, the wilderness waited. The sea stretched before them. Behind them, dust rose from the Egyptian army approaching fast. Panic spread through the camp. "They're coming," people cried. "We're trapped." Moses turned toward the water, wind moving around him. His voice cut through the chaos. "Stand still and watch what God does." He raised his staff. The waters began to split. Walls of water rose impossibly high on both sides, towering and terrible and beautiful. Families moved between them, children staring upward in awe at the impossible. The God who spoke through fire now moved through water, and his people walked on dry ground where the sea had been. Thunder rolled across the sky. The mountain trembled. Smoke rose from the peak, and fire blazed above the clouds. Moses climbed alone, higher and higher, leaving the camp far below. Wind and clouds surrounded him. The shepherd climbed to hear God again. His people waited below, watching him disappear into the mystery. For 40 days and nights, he remained on the mountain. God wrote laws on stone, a covenant carved by divine fingers. 10 commandments to guide a nation. Moses stood in the presence of the Eternal, face to face with the voice that had spoken from the burning bush. And the voice still burned. Days passed, then weeks. Whispers spread through the camp. "Where is Moses?" people asked. "Maybe he isn't coming back." Fear turned to doubt. Doubt turned to demand. "Make us gods we can see," they told Aaron. Aaron, weak and afraid, gave in. "Bring your gold." Earrings were torn from ears. Gold melted in fire. Hammers struck metal. The calf rose from the flames, golden and shining. The people danced. "These are our gods," they shouted. "The God who split the sea, forgotten. The God who fed them, ignored." They bowed before metal they had made themselves. The people who walked through miracles forgot so quickly. Moses descended from the mountain, stone tablets in his hands. He heard music, then laughter, then he saw it. The golden calf, the people bowing, dancing. No. Aaron stepped forward, ashamed. Moses said nothing. The silence was louder than thunder. After everything God had done, after the sea, after the bread from heaven. They turned to metal. Moses raised the tablets high and brought them down. Stone shattered. The sound echoed like judgment itself, the covenant broken. But the fire that called Moses still burned, not to destroy, to transform, even stubborn hearts. Moses walked through the camp, older now, weary but faithful, the staff still in his hand, the journey not finished, only beginning. Sunset stretched across the wilderness. The people watched him, understanding at last the weight he carried. God calls imperfect people. He walks with them even when they forget him. The fire Moses saw in the bush did not destroy. It transformed. It called, it led, and it never stopped burning. The wilderness stretched ahead, vast and unknown. But Moses walked forward, because the voice that spoke from the flames still spoke. And the shepherd who turned aside to see a burning bush became the man who led a nation home.